Opioids, the opioid epidemic in the United States. I recently read an article where, as of June 2017, opioid overdoses were the #1 cause of death in the United States for people under 50 years of age. Again, I read the article that said that overdoses from opioids, which are prescription medications, are the #1 cause of death in the United States for people under 50 years old. This doesn't even include heroin and other hard drugs, and typically the usage of heroin with opioids is a common occurrence. Additionally, in other articles that I read, it said that doctor error is a major cause of people's death. And then obviously you have car crashes and other things which contribute to mortality in the United States. The reason I'm making this video and bringing this up is not necessarily to point the finger at someone else or to blame others, because my dad is a doctor, my uncle is a doctor, and my best friend is a doctor. However, at the same time, even though I grew up in a family of doctors and surrounded by doctors, I do not have much faith, if at all, if any faith, in the medical system in the United States. Predominantly because when you think about this, the #1 cause of death for Americans under 50 are opioid deaths. That means that people were addicted to opioids. They were prescribed medications by a doctor, presumably for a knee surgery or any type of pain. Then they got addicted to these pills, and then they started shopping doctors to get their prescriptions filled, or they were consuming and buying these pills illegally. The reason why this is such a huge epidemic is that you have to understand that you are at war for your health. You have to always protect your health, whether it's your physical health or your mental health. When people go to doctors and they seek treatment, whether it's for even things like antibiotics, which destroy your gut biome and then decrease your absorption of a lot of the minerals and nutrients in your food, and they also disrupt your immune system. Even when they go to a psychiatrist because they're depressed or they're not feeling well, or if they break a bone and then they're prescribed opioids, these are drugs that were put together and approved by the Food and Drug Administration. But the reality is that people would be much better off if there were other more natural ways of mitigating and reducing the pain, which there are. You can even use things like essential oils or other things which are less habit-forming and toxic than opioids. The problem is that pharmaceutical companies and doctors care more about money than they do about patients. We live in a society where the doctor is supposed to treat the symptom. They are not supposed to cure the illness, because if you cure the illness, then the patient will no longer come back and either seek therapy or get treatment for the illness. There is much more money in the management of an existing illness and to keep that illness in perpetuity than there is to actually cure the illness. And the unfortunate thing is that while all these people are dying, big pharmaceutical companies are actually profiting from their deaths. Why? Because the more pills that are being consumed, the more pills are being manufactured, and the more pills are being sold. So big pharma can go and speak in front of Congress or put out warnings in the television commercials that they show you. But the reality is that many of the pharmaceutical executives, their compensation is directly tied to their earnings per share and to their profit goals. And they are motivated to sell and to push and to flood the market with as many opioids as possible. And because these drugs have been designed in order to get people addicted, as you can see from the evidence, and that's just purely my opinion. I'm not saying that these people are putting together, the pharmaceutical companies are intentionally making these drugs addictive, even though in my opinion they are. But these companies are putting together these formulations and these people are getting addicted to it, and people are dying at record rates because of opioid addictions. I remember when I was seeing a psychiatrist, and you would have all these pharmaceutical sales reps, and they would always be extremely pretty. They would send extremely pretty female reps to see the male doctors, and then they would send male doctors that are good looking to see the female doctors. The women pharmaceutical reps, and I'm sure the men as well, would remember the doctors' birthdays. They would get lunch for the office. I've read stories about, and I haven't experienced this firsthand, but I've read stories about where the pharmaceutical reps would sponsor the doctor and his friends at strip clubs and expensive dinners. It's all a game. The problem is the people who are winning the game have all the odds in their favor, and those are the doctors and the pharmaceutical companies. The losers, just like a casino, are the people who actually play the game, the people who take opioids, the people who get addicted to oxycodone, and they just simply get addicted to a point where it completely destroys and eradicates their life and everything that they built up over the past 10 or 20 years to establish good habits. It's gone. They get addicted to pills, and that's the only thing that matters. So I wanted to bring this to your attention. As far as things that you can do to get yourself and wean yourself off an opioid addiction, I have never taken opioids, so I don't know. I've never taken it, so I don't know what I don't know how it feels. I'm pretty sure that from a pharmaceutical mechanism, I believe that it works on either dopamine or acetylcholine. And I actually had knee surgery back in 2014, and I was prescribed around 10 pills of oxycodone, but I didn't take it. And what I think happens with a lot of these benzodiazepines and these opioids is that it floods your receptors to the point where it essentially makes it so that you can't function without it. And it's extremely addictive, and people are dying from it. As far as things that you can do, I know that establishing good habits, taking cold showers, doing an infrared sauna, taking supplements, cleaning up your diet. But this is a life and death situation where if you are addicted to opioids, you have to do everything possible to wean yourself off it, because if you don't, you are likely going to become another statistic. David Jaffe with beststockstrategy.com. Please leave a comment below and let me know your thoughts about this video. Let me know your thoughts about the opioid epidemic. And if you have any questions, let me know. Let me just make sure that I'm going through all my notes and that I hit on everything. As I said, we're in a fight for our body and our minds. I also wanted to say that there's a lot of toxic food that's being prepared and that's being served to us. You have everything from glyphosate, and which is substantially reducing the amount of helpful gut flora that you have. One tip that I would have for everyone is that if you tend to eat a lot of conventional foods, I would not eat dairy. Milk is extremely toxic, and it is going to lead to inflammation in your body, and we are the only species which drinks the milk of another animal. Although I have read things where camel's milk and other things are not as inflammatory, as pro-inflammatory as like the typical milk that people drink. And I know that A1 milk, which has a different peptide, is healthier than I think the casein or like the A2. But I don't eat dairy. The other thing I want to say is, if you take and you eat a lot of conventional foods, what you can do is supplement with glycine. So glycine will deactivate and neutralize some of the glyphosate, and it'll inhibit your body from being destroyed internally when you consume around 2 or 3 grams per day of glycine. So if you want to chelate or chelate, if you want to get rid of a lot of the glycine, or rather, if you want to get rid of a lot of the glyphosate and the buildup of the toxicity from the pesticide, You can take anywhere from 3 to 5 grams per day of glycine. You can get it on vitacost.com. It's extremely cheap. And I tend to do that around once every 2 months. Additionally, it doesn't taste that bad, so I can mix it into a smoothie, or I just take like a little bit of a spoon and I just eat it, just as the powder. But definitely you have to clean up your diet. And remember, you have to be your own master, educate yourself, and audit your habits. Because a lot of people, when we're watching YouTube videos, we're focused on being successful, how to make money, how to be very attractive, how to be successful, how to be happy. But the reality is that with opioid addiction and errors and eating toxic food and getting cancer, the majority of the people in the United States are not trying to be the most successful. Instead, many of the people, I would estimate around 80%, they are fighting for survival. So you might be watching this video and think that it's much different than a lot of the content that I put out. And you might think that, oh, just talk about stock trading stuff and options. But what I think you're failing to understand is that a lot of people they don't give a crap about options or the stock market. Right now, they're laying in bed in pain, addicted, and they can't function unless they take another pill. And that pill is killing them. They're fighting for survival. David Jaffe with beststockstrategy.com. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe, and leave a comment below. Thank you.